Hello and welcome to the ParkLife podcast. I'm joined by Conor Bursnell.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And Joe Davies.
Hello, hello, hello.
We're joined by a guest a bit later. But firstly, I just want to talk to you about the subject we're talking about today, which is betting.
Oh, goodness.
Do either of you have much experience of this?
Experience, yes. Luck, no. Have very little success. When it comes to football, it's scarily little success for somebody that considers himself
you're quite knowledgeable, aren't you, about football?
I am, which it amazes me that 6 teams don't want to win on a Saturday. Blows my mind every time.
And Joe?
Yeah, I'm actually an expert. I win every game. Every game.
Not if you back Cardiff.
No, exactly. Never back Cardiff. Anyone who's listening, it never works. Apart from Saturday when you win 1-0. Just throw that in there.
But
you wonder how long that would take.
First of many.
Do you bet much or?
I haven't recently. I used to bet quite a lot.
But when the fun stops, stop. I think that's the slogan, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
I
what Jeff Stelling tells us every Saturday, but we just ignore him and just get on with it anyway.
It's just fun, isn't it? You start supporting teams that you've never
You've
thought
probably
you would.
had a bet on Swansea and started supporting them, have you?
Never ever support Swansea. I have had a bet on England once. Remember,
Really?
Traitor.
I got Gary Cahill to score a header against Scotland.
Yeah.
26-1.
Yeah, that was a good one. But yeah, as long as you're not taking it too seriously and making sure you're betting what you can bet, it's a bit of fun, isn't it?
I think that's what a lot of betting is now. I don't think the perception is anymore your bloke in the bookies with his pen. It's sort of you watching the game on a Saturday,
chucking 50p on.
Yeah, you want to make yourself a little bit more invested.
Exactly.
I think that's the perception now because it's changed recently.
Exactly.
Definitely.
And if you had to, Joe, you've already mentioned the 26-1 Gary Cahill scoring a header. Burs, any bets that you can remember that have come in? Memorable ones?
Memorable. I have had one in the North London Derby come in. Probably my first winner on football in over a year. And that was just a little request to bet. I think that was an Arsenal win and a few goals.
Nice.
A few corners, a few cards. I think that for those sort of bets, it gets you involved in a game. Like, I'm not a Tottenham fan. I'm not an Arsenal fan. I'm not going to be big into that game. But all of a sudden, I was cheering absolutely everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's good for now.
And if you win a bit, get you a few pints down the pub in the evening.
Yeah. Well, we could ask you about your big winners, but we don't really want to because she'll put us to shame.
Well, talking of betting experts, we've got someone who on Twitter is renowned for being firstly a betting expert, but also a stats man and an expert on the Football League, the Champions League, the Premier League. We're joined by Mark O'Hare, who runs We Love Betting. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Adam. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thanks. Looking forward to the Champions League this week. Busy times, but all good.
Yeah, it should be good. There's some good games coming. I'm looking forward to that. I just wanted to talk to you really. We'll start off with talking about We Love Betting. So how did you start it up?
Good question. I guess the long story short is myself and Chris Graham, who was my boss when I worked at Sporting Bet. We worked in the content team. We were both made redundant on the same day from Sporting Bet. We went to the pub at 11 a.m, as you do, got very drunk and made some grand plans together that we were going to try and go it alone and change the world. And I guess 5-6 years later, we're still at it. We created a website with the help of someone who was technically capable to set up a site, and basically started to start publishing content, really betting related content. Tried to do things a little bit differently. At that time, the industry was quite closed. I guess if you call them tipsters, people of that ilk were faceless, really. They were just kind of going by pseudonyms of, Big Bet Harry and this kind of stuff, and we were just kind of fed up of not being able to understand who the character was behind these selections, and we wanted to sort of unmask the industry a little bit. So it was all about personality and character and kind of bringing ourselves to the fore and kind of just making everything a little bit, trying to do things a little bit differently to what was already being done. It's been hard work, but we're still at it 5-6 years later, and things are going well.
How many followers has the Twitter handle got at the minute?
Around 18,000, I think it is at the moment, or possibly around that level anyway. Yeah, it's been a slow process. There's been, I guess people you'd probably band us in with as rivals have got far more than we have, but we've kind of done it all kind of granularly and built things up how we want to do it, kind of I think our audience on social media is quite informed. We don't try and pull the wool over their eyes, and there's quite a lot of that going on in the industry. So we try and keep things as straight as possible and informative, really. So yeah, it's been a slow process, but we're still kind of that number's rising every month, which is always quite encouraging.
And how hard was it to sort of build that following up? Because you started from nothing almost, and to build it up to what it is now. Was there any sort of things that helped you increase followers and increase popularity, or was it literally just the hard graft of day on day?
Yeah, Adam, it's been genuine and probably the latter, really. Winners help. If you're picking winners, people want to follow you and visit your site and stuff. So that's always quite difficult. 1%, if that, of the betting population actually make money. So it's very, very difficult to pick consistently good winners and attractive winners as well. But yeah, it's been a graft. Chris and I have barely taken a day off in 5-6 years between the two of us. We might have had like a Christmas day here off there, but 365 days of the year, we're covering it at least 364 days, and if not, someone else is on board. So yeah, it's basically been 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. at least every day, relentlessly. But yeah, hopefully the rewards are there.
Obviously, you're growing your business now. What sort of people are you looking for when you're taking somebody on? Are you looking for somebody that's already informed with their betting, or are you looking for a certain writing style?
Good question. A combination, really. We want someone who's willing to work hard first and foremost. I think Chris and myself have kind of we've got a similar work ethic in a way, and we're fortunate enough to be in an industry which is enjoyable to work in. Obviously, people want to work within sports or football and betting. It's an attractive industry, but it's hard working, and we look first and foremost as someone who's willing to put the hours in and do a good job. Secondly, obviously writing. We're both kind of come from writing or journalistic backgrounds. We've kind of taken pride in our content, trying to make it as interesting, as exciting, as engaging as possible. We also want someone who's, again, it kind of goes back to the hard working, but someone who's going to find an angle or a thought process that's different to what everyone else is doing. So whether that's in data and numbers, whether that's in tactical approach to games, whatever it is, really just something a little bit different that you may not have read elsewhere. And yeah, I mean that's the basics. And just someone who's quick and willing to learn, willing to put that time aside and willing to learn. Obviously, a betting knowledge helps. It's quite it's a strange industry. Basically, if you get something wrong, people are very quick to tell you and very quick to pull you up on it. So betting knowledge does help, but that can be self-taught as well. I mean, I came into the industry with a reasonable amount of knowledge, but there was quite a lot of stuff which I had to pick up and learn quickly, and it's doable. So whilst that's whilst we'd like that, it's not absolutely necessary to start with.
Hi, Mark, it's Joe. I was just going to ask about research that goes into your betting odds and things that you put out. I know you said you got a lot of knowledge in terms of the journalism side of things, but how much research actually goes in before you can put something on the website or on Twitter or things?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's different in this sense. I'm a bit of I've got kind of OCD really, so for me it's trying to cover every single possible track and get as much knowledge as I possibly can on the teams or the players and focus. Again, if you get something wrong, people are very quick to pull you up on it, so it's important to know your facts before you put the pen on paper. So yeah, I mean, there's various things I look into personally, which is stats and data. It's getting bigger and bigger in football and analytics, particularly in betting as well. So just trying to understand the prices and why certain teams or players are priced up at certain odds. Team news, of course, is always very key. And yeah, just having an idea of how those teams or players are performing recently. It's very easy just to look at results and just presume what's happened in those matches, but in reality, football's a very low-scoring sport, and because of that, there's various factors that can play a part in 90 minutes of football. You might look at a team and they've won 1-0 for 4 of the last 5 games, and one might be an own goal, 2 might be penalties, 1 might be a 40-yard strike as well. They might have been completely outplayed in those 4 games which they've won. You wouldn't really know that unless you sort of dug a little bit below the surface just to find out. So, yeah, it does take time, but I think that's when you do put the time in, it's recognised elsewhere, because quite a lot of people in the industry are trying to do something similar. We'll just look at those kind of 4 results I mentioned and take a view from there, which might not necessarily be the right view. Not always, but occasionally anyway. So yeah, it's just being dedicated and trying to get the full view on the teams and players you're looking at.
Yeah, I know a lot of people, they bet in patterns. Does this work, or would you say that the facts that are the ones that win big in the end?
I mean, I try not to have too many. I think when I was younger, I had quite a few certain rules I'd try and always oblige by, which, I wouldn't back an away team in the Football League at odds on, because I felt it was so volatile. I certainly wouldn't bet on a team who just sacked their manager or just appointed a new manager because of the new manager bounce.
Yeah.
Little things like that, and I've kind of grown out of that. Head-to-head records as well. I don't really care about those anymore unless it's a big particular game. Let's say the North London Derby, the Classico, that sort of thing, which is quite a unique match. So those, I've kind of put those kind of rules aside, and now try and treat every game as a single entity, really. So in terms of what I'd follow, it's kind of just going back to the stats and numbers, really, and just getting a handle on how teams are performing. And if they're not getting the results, but their numbers are suggesting they should, then I'll take that into account much more than, say, results or any other kind of metric, really.
You still never back your own team, though. That never works for me. Cardiff always seem to lose when I back Cardiff, but that's the number one rule. That's definitely a case. I mean, I'm a Queen's Park Rangers fan, and last season had quite a lot of joy backing against us. Win-win situation. QPR win, I'm happy. If QPR lose, I'm happy.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of your winners, Mark, you don't have to divulge necessarily how much you've won, but can you remember any sort of big winners you've had? You've been betting a long time. Is there any that stand out to you?
Yeah, there's a few. I had Portugal to win the Euro 2016, which I never expected after that group stage.
Yeah.
I thought
after all those draws,
I thought Wales were going to go on to win it. Oh, here we go.
Yeah. That was quite a nice one. I wouldn't say it's the biggest financial win I had, but I think it was just more satisfying. We produced a really big kind of preview magazine covering every team in depth, and it was a real labour of love. And I was almost out of love of the Euros before the competition even started. But, to see the hard work pay off was satisfying. But in terms of a big winner, about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, basically one of my bucket lists was to go and see Argentina or Brazil play away in like a World Cup qualifier, and I basically had a plan to try and make money through betting to try and get there, and I was fortunate enough to get a big win, which basically paid for my flights and accommodation out to South America.
Nice.
So yeah, I got to see Argentina play Chile away in Buenos Aires, which was quite cool.
Wow, yeah.
To be honest, most of my bets, I don't often back long shots or big price. I'm quite a conservative punter, so it's kind of chipping off winners wherever I can.
And last sort of question, really. You're on Twitter. You're sort of the go-to man for the stats in the Championship and in the Champions League, and I think everyone sort of appreciates that you've got a good knowledge of football in general. So I just wanted to have a quick chat with you sort of about the Champions League next week, and sort of in general, really, I don't expect you to have any odds to hand, but just sort of the thoughts on the English teams. Obviously, Liverpool needing to win against Napoli and Tottenham needing to win against Barca as well, and then maybe on who you think might win it as well. So starting off with the Liverpool game, Mark, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, fascinating game this. For me, it's all about the goals from a betting perspective. Obviously, Liverpool can win 1-0 or need to win by 2 goals to get through. They're 4-6 or around 4-6 to win that match, which feels quite short. Napoli are no mugs. They haven't lost since very early in September away at Juventus, where they put up a really decent effort actually in that game. Basically, I think whenever the first goal goes in, I'm presuming there will be a first half goal. It could easily be a basketball game there. Both teams basically trying to outscore each other, which from a neutral perspective could be quite exciting. So for me, it's all about the goals. I do think Napoli are a little bit underrated, but their away record in Europe is isn't fantastic, although they were the better team over 2 legs against PSG in the group. So, I wouldn't be too confident about backing Liverpool around 4-6, but I think the goals are definitely the play there.
Yeah, and the other big game this week for Spurs away at Barcelona, probably one of the toughest tasks in European football to go away and win there. If you're speaking to a Spurs fan, have they got an outside bet here, or is this? This is clearly one of the tougher fixtures that they can play, but should they be confident going into it?
I think they should be confident. I think they've definitely got the potential in that team to go and get a result. I think this match is all down to how Barcelona approach it and whether Valverde decides to rest and rotate his team, particularly Lionel Messi, who was again unplayable on Saturday against Espanyol. Barcelona don't play again until he was sensational. But Barcelona don't play again until Sunday night away at Levante, which on paper looks like a winnable game, but that was the game last year and which kind of ended their unbeaten chances of an unbeaten season. So they should really be prioritising that game, but whether they do or not, I'm not sure. And their home record in the Champions League, I think it's since 2013, 26 wins, 2 draws and no defeats.
Wow, that's crazy.
I think Barcelona are the better odds against her.
Yeah. And just finally, your thoughts on maybe who might win it and maybe an outside bet as well?
Okay. From the outset, I was on Atletico Madrid. I normally are in these situations. I just think they're always overpriced for a team that no one will want to play in the knockout stages. Whether they finish first or second in their group, they avoid the Spanish team in the last 16. So, in theory, they should have an easier task to get through to the quarterfinals. And if you're looking at around 14 to 16 to 1 for Atletico Madrid, I think they're very underrated. They've got the quality up front to win tight matches as well. Yeah. But from the front runners, I think Man City are fair favourites. They're dominating the Premier League more so than any of the big guns in their leagues. Quite remarkable stuff, really. But I wouldn't back them at the prices. I think Juventus are probably the biggest team out of the leading pack, who are the danger, really. As far as an outside shot, it's hard to see, really. I liked Ajax about 250 to 1 before the campaign started.
Wow, it's a bold one.
They won't win it at all, but from a trading perspective, I thought they were quite decent and they were outstanding away at Bayern Munich. But I think they'll run their course sooner than later. Yeah. Outside, possibly Napoli if they can get through against Liverpool. They're a very big price at the moment, I think, but it's all reliant on Wednesday night. So if they don't win that, otherwise you're probably looking at someone like Dortmund. I wouldn't say they're under the radar, but doing fantastic things in Germany and will be quite a big price to go the distance. Yeah,
they've come back really well from the disappointing few seasons they've had, and they could even break Bayern's monopoly, which would be nice to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Lucien Favre, the head coach, has slotted in seamlessly. Helps and Marco Reus has stayed fit this season as well. I think he's one of the best players in the world on his day. And obviously Jadon Sancho and the other young guns are coming to the fore. They've been really exciting team, really interesting team to follow this year. So fingers crossed they can see the season out and, as you say, break Bayern's monopoly on that league, because it's got pretty monotonous recently.
Well, thanks very much for chatting to us, Mark. It's always fascinating listening to you talk about betting and football in general. And there might be a few people rushing to put a pound on Ajax after you mentioned the 250 to 1 shot. So.
Yeah, I'll have that. I'll take somebody's tips. My tips don't work. I'll take somebody else's.
Cheers, guys. Best of luck.
Cheers, Mark.
Always fascinating listening to what he has to say about football. Did you know anything from that, boys?
Oh, yeah, plenty of tips I'm going to take away. He said, trust your own gut, but my gut has misled me so many times, I'm going to find a new one.
Joe?
I think he's just saying be sensible with your bets.
Yeah, I think that's the main message to come out of it, really. I think have a bit of fun, but make sure you're being sensible with it. Yeah. But it's very good to listen to him, and he knows what he's talking about as well, so always fascinating. But thanks for listening to this ParkLife podcast, and make sure you check the website jsport.gloss.ac.uk for more information.